we had talked a little bit about some of the different types of gyms that you can encounter out there. So first and foremost, let's talk about the big box, because that's generally what people think when they think gym. So what is the big box? The big box is a giant facility that typically operates under a volume principle. So what that means is their main goal is to just sell memberships and to fill the space with as many people as they can. It's a business model that's worked great for several franchises that are now nationally recognized and known. So let's talk about some pros and cons, things that we've encountered or things we know that people have encountered when it comes to big box gyms.
Do you want to take it away?
Sure. So I'd say with big boxes, one of the things that I always see is you lose some of the personal touch that you find with other gym options. You're not going to generally have people who are as invested as the trainers in a smaller box gym or a studio or something like that, specialty gym, things along those lines. Big box is also, depending on the company, franchise, corporation, they may or may not be taking care of their facilities as well. The equipment might be, as we're all talking, like there are some that have better equipment, some that have, not as great equipment. And a lot of times you see them using equipment from a leftover owner from previously. So it's very hit or miss when it comes to box gyms, I would say.
Yeah, because each one it's normally franchised, so while there is a standard, there's also not a standard from facility to facility.
Precisely. And these days also, a lot of the larger franchises, when you're signing on to be one of these, I don't want to throw names out there, or whatever. So if you're signing on to be one of these large franchises, so if you go to a gym and you think it's going to be a great gym because it's a blank gym, just like they have in wherever, it might not be the same type of gym.
Yeah.
That name is just, they give you banners, they give you some promotional support, but you don't need to be that same type of gym anymore. They're losing their touch,
Well, I definitely think that with what you just said there has been a really big shift over the last decade. We're starting to see that people are going to big boxes less and less and they're starting to favor the smaller boutiques or even the specialty studios that do just boot camps or barbell classes or cycling. And you've got some of the Iron Dungeons are making a little bit of a comeback. They're definitely not as popular just because they're really hard to find. Typically it's only word of mouth marketing that you'll get when you find a gym like that. But I will tell you, if you ever want to walk into a gym and feel really small, find yourself a good Iron Dungeon. But what you should also note is that most of the time, if you walk into a gym like that, not only are you going to encounter colossal human beings, but they're probably going to be some of the nicest people you've ever met in your entire life. And they are always more than willing to impart knowledge or even help you out, especially if you're new.
As long as you're not an asshole yourself.
Exactly, yeah. If you're kind of a jerk, people tend to not really like you that much to begin with.
But that's, you touched on gym etiquette earlier, and we can go further into that, but that's where that comes down to. The people at the gym, if you think that they're all being jerks to you, double check how you're acting. If you're leaving your weights everywhere, or you just sweat all over a machine, didn't wipe it down, you think that everyone in the gym's a jerk. Check that mirror next time.
So real quick, bringing it back to big boxes. Definitely one of the pros that a lot of people are on top of is you'll almost always find one for $10 a month.
Yes, cheap.
And I mean, they're cheap. Again, their business model runs off volume. They're actually counting on you not showing up, because if everyone who had a membership showed up, the fire chief would walk in and shut them down for being over capacity. Now, I hate to say this, but I love to say this. You absolutely get what you pay for. So if you're paying $10 a month for your gym membership, hey, if that works for you and you're able to get everything you need out of your gym, awesome. That's great. That's wonderful. But when you start to find those studios or smaller box gyms where the membership starts to go up, don't just think they're trying to gouge you. Try to understand that there's more that comes with that. They'll generally have more knowledgeable trainers on staff. The facilities may have, towel services, things like that, extra little amenities that you may not necessarily recognize, and they'll probably remember your name every time you walk in.
It's true.
Very true.
Also, people are more invested because you're paying more, so then of course you want to show up more, you have more reason to go. So,
Yeah.
You surround yourself with those better people.
That same law of attraction again.
exactly.
One of the things you just said that struck me was you get what you pay for.
Mhm.
And if that $10 a month gym is enough for you, fine and good.
Yeah.
Is it? Because the person who thinks the $10 a month gym is enough for them usually needs more guidance.
Yes.
That's my
No, you're absolutely
That
right.
person probably needs a trainer, so
Yeah.
I think they should be seeking out a gym where they're gonna have someone there to help them, rather than spending $10 walking in and being lost.
Yeah.
May I segue off of that?
Absolutely.
So into the discussion about the knowledge that exists at your gym. That's huge. No one really takes the time to understand that it's not just the physical materials and the facility in itself, brand spanking new machines, whatever, state of the art, this and that. It comes down to the people, and like he said, you're basically at the bar. You are at the bar, but essentially, that knowledge is a database you can pull from, you can ask questions and bounce ideas off of, and especially if you're a beginner, and I tend to hear this a lot when people are just getting started, maybe they say they don't want to go as hardcore and they don't need a trainer, which I would argue that pretty much anyone and everyone can benefit from a coach. I have coaches myself.
Yeah.
These
Trainers
guys
have trainers.
Yeah, trainers
Yeah.
have trainers.
Yeah.
Like you want to growth hack. So the way I look at personal training, coaching, any form of guidance or mentorship, it's really just you're buying cheat codes to the game, because the reality is these guys have put years in experience of researching and digging and experimenting and failing themselves and probably messing themselves up literally for you. So yeah, it comes down to more than what you see.
So you actually gave me just an interesting point to throw in on that. So you said you go into the bar, you're drawn from that database. Well, it is exactly like that. How well stocked is your library? Does it have every book you could possibly want? Can you get all of the information? Could you do a full research topic there? Well, your gym's going to be the same way. If you're at a gym where the level of knowledge is periodicals on BuzzFeed, how much are you really going to get out of that versus going into a place where, like Omar was saying, you've had people who have lived it, breathed it, and have experienced it, have spent time studying these topics, these subjects. You're going to be able to get so much more out of an atmosphere like that because, again, you can walk up to somebody and ask a question.
My God, man, there are gyms out there where their training staff is just invested, they're just constantly working on things together on the floor. The manager of the gym is like a bodybuilding coach and a trainer himself.
I think I know a gym like that.
What?
Wait, you can rent out books too.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
you can.
What?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
That's amazing.
That's cool.
But
That's good. No, I agree completely.
I do want to reel us into our next topic. This was a good one. Definitely enjoyed that. I love that segue right there. That was perfect. Hey, you gotta get those in when you can. So speaking of training staff, I think the next thing we should dive into is why is it beneficial to work with a trainer? What can you get out of that? I really want to focus on you two guys. No offense,
No, it's fine.
we have our trainers over here. Tell me a little bit. What can somebody get as a benefit directly from working with a trainer? Give me your spin on it in one paragraph or less.
Damn, 60 seconds.
Okay. So, working with a trainer, my take would be, as a member of a gym, if you choose to work with a trainer rather than to try to go at it on your own, kind of like Omar was saying, you are jumping leagues ahead. You are skipping over years of not only wasted time, but probable injuries. Lots of time, exercises, and input that's unnecessary, wasteful, and maybe giving negative results. And that's one big thing is that you usually have things that your body needs that you don't realize as an average gym goer. We don't realize what's wrong with the body. A trainer will. A good trainer
Yes.
will. A good trainer will see what your body needs to really succeed. Not just what the Instagram model who posted up the first thing they saw in Men or Women's Health magazine. Where a good trainer will look at you, assess you, see exactly what is necessary to get you to your personal goals, and then work with you the whole way. It's having a map instead of wandering through the wilderness lost.
Right.
And better than just a map, that map's actually grabbing you and moving you. You know what I mean? Like that's
Sometimes literally.
Literally.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
All
So
professionally.
simply put, like, literally, if you want to go, and I love this quote so much because it's just simple. If you want to go faster and farther, go together. At the end of the day, you really want to have that team member, that person who's looking out and wanting the best for you, even though sometimes you may not even know you want it for yourself. And so our responsibility is to actually show you how capable you are. And man, if I could go back 8 years when I was a wee little teenager walking into the YMCA just pumping biceps, and I had a dude like Scotty or Dan or any of you guys, I would not be this small. Even though, I mean, I'm not too small.
God.
Humble brag.
No, but like actually, because it's like I'm 8 years in and I literally feel like a newbie every day, and I'm humbled by people like you guys that literally say something that I've heard but hasn't necessarily resonated or I haven't understood it.
Right.
And then it just,
It's like a switch turns on,
yep.
Yeah, huh? I need one.
right?
Girls?
So, building off that, what I want to kind of say about, benefits of working with a trainer. You could absolutely learn anything you want. This, right here, contains the entire database of human knowledge information on it, if you know how to access it. The same goes for fitness, training. You could learn it all on your own. You could spend years studying the material. You could spend all that time doing your own research, trial and error. Or you can pay a trainer to skip all those steps, similar to what Omar and Scotty were both saying, and you can pay someone to educate you. I mean, let's think about this for a second. You take out a loan to go to college, to get an education, to then execute a job with a higher degree of skill and expertise. You hire a trainer to educate you, to train you, to teach you the ins and outs of fitness, so that way you don't have to do all the research yourself. You have teachers, you have professors who have spent years, most of them their entire lives, becoming an expert on that subject, so they can take all these complex terms, these complex ideas, and boil it down to the most raw essence that is going to benefit you the most. They're going to point you towards the things that you should be focusing on, and they're going to help you stay away from the things that you shouldn't spend too much time on. That's exactly it.
Or they'll hurt you.
Or that will hurt you. Now, unfortunately, a lot of trainers are in this boat, but one of the reasons why we're so good at what we do is because we have hurt ourselves many times before. So we've learned through that what we should and shouldn't do, rather than having somebody be like, hey, you shouldn't do that, you're going to get hurt. We've had to go through that motion ourselves.
We should do an episode on past injuries.
That'd be a long
That'd be a long episode. But that being said, do you guys have anything else you want to finish up with that, or do you think we covered that pretty
I
good?
kind of want to hear from you
I was gonna
guys.
say, what's
Oh,
the,
you know what?
takes on
What do you think? Yeah.
So it's interesting because I would say the first actual trainer was you that I had, and only. Because, I mean, I was an athlete my whole life, so I would just kind of do what I used to do when I would train to be an athlete. So it was very helpful to have you, but now that I don't have you, because I'm injured, so I'm kind of taking a step back on my goals. But now I see myself doing the things I want to do, but not the things that I should be doing that I don't want to do.
Mhm.
So it's definitely beneficial to have those people to push you to do what you don't want to do that is going to help you.
Chances
Yeah.
are, the thing you don't like to do is the
Is
thing
what
that's
you
gonna
do
be the
the
best for you.
I
Yep.
was just gonna say that exactly.
Yeah, so-
Oh, I hate front squats. Well, guess what I'm programming for you?
Yeah.
He's the world's
But-
meanest trainer.
Yes.
I have been called that before, yes. But you know what? The world's meanest trainer gets results.
Yes, that's true.
But to just kind of wrap that up with a neat little bow real quick. With that whole thing, the things that you don't like are generally good for you. There's a saying in fitness, and it is make your weaknesses your strengths. It's in bodybuilding, it's in the power sports, it's in general gym goers, it's in life. If something is a weakness, we shy away from it, we don't want to do it. But as we get better at it, it creates a more well-rounded approach to everything else.
Exactly.
So Victoria, we heard from Danielle, now let's hear from the even greener.
Oh, I'm the newbie. You guys are talking about newbies, but that's me. So I probably just had one training session with Dan. That's it in my life. I've gone to the gym maybe a couple of times to go on the treadmill. So that's where I stand. And same thing goes in everything, even being a dietitian. People think they know how to eat. People do research on how to eat. And it's just having some professional person, you're gonna do it right the first way. You have motivation behind you and you're not alone, so. If I were to do anything to go to the gym, I would definitely partner up with somebody first.
If I can actually touch, because I love how you just said that, being able to take the decision-making out of your own hands, place your faith, and this is why having a good trainer
Yes.
is crucial. And I think maybe we should do an episode on how to choose a good trainer.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
that. I was gonna say that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, have a good trainer that you can put your faith in, and then you don't need to be wondering and have your head spinning with which of those options that you found on the internet are right, which one of the workouts on bodybuilding website are correct, and where we're gonna go and what you're gonna do. Like, what? Like, there's so much input, and you have no clue what to do with all of it. If you can just shut that all down and let someone else guide you, it's easier, smoother, and
Yes.
like Omar was saying, you're gonna get there faster, further, better, all that good stuff.
It's like the Mr. Krabs meme, the Mr. Krabs meme. If you ever seen like he's like spinning
he's like,
dizzy. Yeah, that's so. If I had to put myself in a newbie's shoe, that's literally how I felt when I first walked into a gym.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Mr.
what
Krabs.
what we're gonna kind of get into next, I want to open up the floor. If any of you guys have questions, especially newbie questions, now is the perfect time to start to formulate those. We're gonna turn to Victoria and let her pick our brains for a little bit
This is good.
and ask questions from probably a very similar place and perspective of where you guys out there might be coming from yourselves.
All right. So, first and foremost, I want you guys to talk me through the second you get out of your car to the end of your gym session. Because to me, I'm like, do I go into the locker room first? Like, I'm at nowhere. So tell me.
Getting changed, I do suggest.
Do you fill your water bottle? No, I'm just kidding.
All right, so I
What
mean,
goes into it?
do you want to kick off this one?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, my routine, I'm so regimented, so it's really hard, but it's also beneficial because I thrive off of routine and now I'm not really in my routine because of my injury, like I said. But anyways, my traditional one, I guess you could say, is get out of my car, go into the gym, go into the locker room. I typically go from work, so I change. Go out to the floor, I do some activation, depending on whatever
What
exercise.
is activation?
Oh,
Yeah, remember you gotta pretend
That's
like.
another episode.
Oh, that's a whole.
Is this like kind of like
So it's
stretching or,
essentially,
like,
so
waking up your
Simplified,
muscles?
what is activation?
Yeah.
So it's more of going through the ranges of motion, but in control. So it's
Okay.
like if you're stretching, you're just stretching, the lengthening the muscle, but if you're, it's hard to explain.
No, that
I think no, I think
was
that's
my
simplified,
other question. Was
Okay,
like,
yeah.
do you
Mobility
stretch
versus
before? But I
stretching.
guess it's not really stretching.
Okay, yes, it's like actively preparing your muscles for what's
Okay.
ahead, but not exhausting
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah,
Actively
yeah.
preparing your muscles
That's
for work.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
So that is a topic that we could absolutely just really
Mobility
dive
versus,
deep
like,
into.
flexibility.
But simplified, when Danielle says activation, it basically means warm up. She's getting blood flowing through her body, blood flowing into the tissues that she's gonna be working. By tissues, I mean the muscles, the groups of muscles. So she's probably doing some stretching, she's probably doing some smashing, which is when you take like a foam roller or a lacrosse ball or some implement that is immobile and trying to work knots out of the tissue before getting ready for activity.
Alright, so I'll do that. And then I'll usually start with a compound lift, which is your squat, your overhead press, your deadlift, all those big mean movers. And then I'll go into more of accessory work, so that's gonna be more of your cable work and dumbbells, free weights, all that stuff. Then, I don't typically pull down.
So
I
in terms of
yeah.
like cleaning the machines that you're on.
I don't. But my gym doesn't.
Oh,
My gym doesn't do it.
Oh.
My gym doesn't do
Well,
that.
that is something
My
to
gym
know.
doesn't do it.
Some gyms don't put out
Yeah.
cleaning
That's,
supplies for
like,
you.
definitely like a
They do.
social thing, because like I've definitely been like, okay, well, where's the spray or
Yeah.
something? Like, do
So
I need to
actually,
use
that's
it?
a really good point to bring up. So,
I'm ashamed of myself.
we're jumping into,
It's not, no one else needs it.
right?
Yeah.
Wow.
So jumping into our next category, which is going to be gym etiquette, we're just going to pick into that real quick. Identifying and locating where the cleaning supplies, if they're offered, are, is a great first thing to make yourself familiar with. Because here's the thing about gyms. Everyone is touching everything. So there is a lot of cross-contamination going on, and bacteria loves to grow on sweaty materials. So, that being said, it is very easy to get sick in a gym, but here's the kicker. Because you're living a healthy lifestyle and you're being exposed to so many different pathogens, your immune system's probably gonna be a little bit heightened, which is generally pretty good. But big tip. Wash your hands before eating after working out.
I definitely always do that.
Alright.
Always.
Wash those
What
hands.
if you eat at the gym?
Wash your hands.
I
Wash your hands before you eat.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, crap.
That's even more.
I just like wolfed down a
Did
peanut
that.
butter
Without
sandwich.
washing your hands?
Wash your hands.
But did you touch your
I washed them
hands?
after.
Exactly.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's you're gonna get the hip now.
Hopefully my immune support will help. Yeah.
So, but let's kind of get back to
Gym
you know,
etiquette.
your gym day. No, so we're gonna go
Gym
back
day.
to the
So
your
hold
gym day.
on, you didn't
Did you
finish.
finish?
Oh,
That's mine as of right now.
Well,
It's very simple.
Do you go back, do you
So then I
shower?
go back, so then I go back into the locker room. Well, I actually carry around a bag with me that has like equipment in it, has like resistance
Okay, yeah,
bands.
that's
it has-
another thing, like, do people bring their stuff to the equipment with them?
Some people do.
Right.
I think it just depends on the gym.
Okay.
But yeah, mine has my equipment in the bag and I carry it around with me just so I don't have to go back and grab stuff. And then, yeah, so I'll go back into the locker room and just grab my other bag that had my clothes in it that I changed. And then I'll just head out.
How about eating?
Oh,
Eating
so
after?
Eat
During a
after,
recess.
when?
A bite
The whole
after.
time?
Keep it steak.
Before and after, yes.
Okay.
That's
Like-
a whole huge
Yeah,
topic
that's
though,
another
yeah.
thing, okay.
But yes, before and after,
Alright,
yeah.
you know, you definitely want to be fueled going into your workout,
Mhm.
except if you're doing fasted training. But if you're brand new, you probably shouldn't be doing fasted training anyways. So don't even worry about that topic. We'll cover it another time. And then post-workout nutrition, super important. The two most important meals of somebody's day, and I tell my clients this, the two most important meals, what you eat before you work out and what you eat after you work out. Other than that, you're just filling in whatever's missing for your macros and your micros.
When I have clients coming to bodybuilding shows, most of their macronutrients end up centered around that workout, especially the carbohydrate intake, because that's when you're burning it off, that's when you need it, and so goes to show,
And build.
goes to say,
Of course.
throughout the year, whether you're competing or not, if you need energy for your workout, which we all do, give yourself energy for your workout.
Food is fuel.
Yeah.
Food is
I think it definitely depends on your goal too.
definitely.
You know, it's,
Yeah.
I mean, everything's obviously gonna be centered around what your goal is, but traditionally before and after, yeah.
Yeah.
So is that your gym day? That's your
Yeah,
gym day?
simplified.
Yeah, right.
All right. I'll try and break this down, quick and simple. We are starting to drag on a
Yeah.
little bit, so
Just
we're
a
gonna
little
kind of
bit.
streamline this a bit. So typically, when I get to the gym, I'm still in my car. If I haven't finished listening to the hardcore pump-up song that I was listening to, I finish listening to it, I shut it off,
Mandatory.
grab my stuff, I head on in. Being somebody who pretty much lives at the gym, before I do anything at that point, I gotta make the rounds and say hi to everybody, be the ambassador, say, hey, what's going on, check out, check in.
Yeah.
Give some dabs, give some high fives, stuff like that. Typically, I'm already changed, ready and dressed, but being a trainer, I'm always in gym clothes, so
Gym clothes for
I don't have to go to the locker room, except if I have to take care of things before I start working out. At that point, I will take whatever pre-workout I'm doing at that point. If it's a cup of coffee, it's a cup of coffee. If it's some kind of stimulant that you can get at one of your local shops or here at All Access Fitness, I'll slam one of those down, and then I'll start into my warm-up, which includes stretching, mobilization of the tissues, smashing, anything I need to do to make sure my body is open and prepared for exercise. Which, of course, in another episode, we'll really get into warming up protocols and procedures. After that, I'll move into my first big compound lift. I'll start slow, really make sure the movement is feeling good. If something doesn't feel right, I go right back to step one and I start warming up the muscles that weren't feeling right again. And then I'll just keep working my way up till I hit whatever the working weight is for that day. Then similar to Danielle, move on to my accessory work after that. So compound versus non-compound. Your accessory work's gonna be the smaller muscle groups, the isolated movements, stuff of that nature. Then, if I have time, before I meet with clients or before I head home, I'll grab something to eat, typically something that has little to no fat in it, starchy carbohydrates, and some good protein. A little bit of sugar post-workout is not bad for you either.
One of those top 10 protein treats they have. They carry those one of those gyms around.
Yeah, I think, what is it?
What gym? What is it called?
But
That's good though. Great.
if I've got time though, I'll absolutely do like a cool down session, which is very, very similar to what the warm-up looks like, ironically speaking.
Moving around.
So, yeah. Pump some blood through the body, massage the tissues that just got hammered. And I will tell you, from experience, if you do the cool down religiously, you will recover quicker. If you don't do the cool down, you're gonna end up meeting up with my friend Dom.
Yeah.
And if you're not sure who my friend Dom is delayed onset
That's me
muscle
right now.
soreness.
So.
That is my legs, always.
So Dan just summed it up really well. He went into the technical detail pretty quick, and that was really well put. I whip into the gym, do some musical meditation, aka jamming, and then walk in, give about like 20 knucks and high fives and hellos, and then I whip up some magic formula. What else do I do? And then I start priming myself, and get to work. The cool down is definitely something that I am guilty of skipping, but I've made it more of a habit now, especially to start addressing that and treating it more like meditative, like easing and tapering back into the day. Because when you get to the gym, you're all psyched up and pumped up with energy. You don't just want to kind of let that go and not carry that like afterglow effect into the rest of your day. And if you work out in the morning, oh my, the benefits of that before it's priming your day with that is just unbelievable.
So when do you guys work out, speaking of?
I would like to in the morning, but I tried that and I just.
And also tell me how long, what we're doing.
Yeah, okay, so
Like
after work
average.
around
From
5-ish, roughly an hour and a half to 2 hours, depending, but an hour and a half. Okay, start to finish.
Okay. Let's see, warm up and cool down included. Typically, my workout sessions are about 2 hours. I've tried to work out in the morning. Nope, it's not for me.
So tough.
So-
My highest energy levels are right around 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. So that's the time block that I try to get my workout in. Obviously, that isn't gonna work out for everybody, but being a trainer, I'm typically only working when everybody else isn't working. So I do get that, middle of the day hammer time. 3 to 5 days a week, depending on what kind of programming I'm currently doing for myself. And, yeah.
There's so much detail that goes into this.
Yeah.
I didn't realize
Yeah,
until
why?
you were asking these questions.
Well, it comes down to your whole day essentially,
Yeah.
and it kind of revolves, this is your lifestyle.
Yeah.
So basically, like I'll wake up, I'll immediately jump in a cold shower, and if I'm opening up, I get here and try to do a little bit of a walk in some form of movement early in the day to get that creativity flowing and that productivity in my veins. And then I do like the workouts around 10 to 2, something like that. That way, I've had enough time to do my morning practices, my morning ritual, and I actually fast every day up until I just broke it earlier. So I do about an 18 to 24 hour consistently, and I love training fasted, but like Dan said, wouldn't recommend that if you're a beginner. That's definitely something you'll have to work into.
So I didn't share my kind of gym.
Yeah, the whole
Yeah.
And I don't really care too much, but I did just think, I should share because I think the only one of us that,
You need to.
I'm the only one of us that I shower after the gym every day.
Okay.
Like
So I shower at the gym, it's a routine of mine. I feel gross if I'm sweaty, and I live a little far from the gym, as you guys know, and so if I'm driving all that way, and I work out kind of hard, so I'm usually like drenched, and that's no good. Like driving all sweaty, we were talking about bacteria grows, and
Yeah, I like that.
so I carry in my big bag, and in my big bag I've got my towel, change of clothes, got a little bag inside of there, and to touch on the other question, I usually work out in the afternoon, evening, after I finish up stuff here.
How long?
About an hour or so, maybe 2 if I can squeeze in enough time, but that's usually also combined with, by working on my own gym, I usually have things I'm fixing between
right.
sets.
Right,
Cleaning
of course.
this or helping with that.
Yeah.
Pro tip, if you're a trainer, have a backup gym. Yeah, 'cause
Ah.
you're gonna
Focus.
know everyone in there, and it's hard to stay
Oh.
focused when
That's true.
My friends would be tough.
My new apartment moving into, the landlord okayed me to put my equipment in the basement.
Nice.
There you
So
go.
I'm ready to
Great.
set. You'll never see me again.
Actually, that's a lie. You come to the gym with like 100 pounds of luggage on your back, like you're carrying camels.
He
Like,
does look like he's moving in every day.
So I got my food bag, my
Yeah,
everything. So
yeah.
that's part of, like for me as a bodybuilder, I'm not even prepping right now, but still.
Very
it's a
regimented,
big
very
part of my
routine.
life, So right before we started, that's why we were a little behind schedule. I ran in there and scarfing down the car as quick as I can. These guys come out, I'm coming.
Anybody?
he was cranky earlier.
Hey, you're not yourself when you're hungry.
No.
That's
Absolutely
true.
not. That's why I knew I needed those carbs in me, better than anyone. So, anyway, jumping through that though, my routine and everything's pretty basic. I actually don't usually have time for too much of a warm up, so I move around a little. I make sure to move the weight real light, get my body moving. And once I feel ready and able, I get into the sets. I prefer to have more time, more dynamic warm up and everything.
Wouldn't we
but
all?
We gotta do what we gotta do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then so I need time for my shower at the end of the workout. So that's something that if you're the same type, fitting that in and figuring out where you're gonna be, what gym is gonna be comfortable to be doing that. You know
Right,
what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
that's true.
It does, it plays in.
Yeah.
I'm pretty easy going, I can do it. I know.
Yeah.
So, kind of with what everybody was saying, I definitely noticed a big theme here. Routine, ritual, habitual.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. When you get into your groove, now you gotta remember when you're first starting out, you're not gonna have a routine, you're not gonna have a ritual, you're not gonna have things that are habitual to you. So start there, start building your little nuances. And again, if you can, definitely hire yourself a trainer to help teach you what some really good things are to include in your habit, your ritual.
Don't be afraid to ask the dudes that you see walking around with all this finesse dancing through the gym, because truthfully, like, I am honored, and these guys are always happy to help, any kind of person that reaches out and asks for help.
It's like Dan was saying, a lot of times you see like the huge jacked dudes around, and they look intimidating.
Yeah.
They're usually like really nice.
Yeah.
Who like
Most of the time.
just really enjoy working out, lifting weights, and muscle, and they'll tell you how to do the same thing if you want. You know, usually.
So we had an awesome question come from one of the people watching in our YouTube channel. I love this one, and I think you guys are gonna love this one too. What is your go-to workout song that gets you pumped to go to the gym?
Oh.
And this question is for
One?
all of us.
Oh boy.
Can we say
Lean
artists?
on- no, sorry.
Oh, you
Oh my
start.
God.
I gotta think about it.
I like heavy metal stuff, but also like heavy techno stuff.
Okay.
Depends on the mood.
I was
So,
gonna say, yeah, it depends on the mood, but I would say NF. It's like my like,
Ooh.
like I'm
Yeah.
gonna destroy.
Nice.
But and then like Elenium, if I want like that
Ooh.
techno, those are my two favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so I definitely, I find myself going for the hard techno or, you know, the hard
Depends
metal
on-
rock. So I'll definitely start off with something like maybe break stuff from Limp Bizkit, if you guys remember that from back in the day.
Yeah.
Maybe a little Animal I Have Become, 3 Days Grace. If we want to get into the techno, Skrillex, First of the Year.
Ooh.
That song gets me absolutely jammed.
I was gonna listen to
OG
Elenium.
song.
What
So,
is it?
Skrillex, First of the Year.
first of the
Yeah,
year,
right.
you're
Hold
gonna.
on, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm gonna go out.
You're showing your age when he goes Skrillex. That's an OG song.
Yeah.
It's fun.
I remember when I first started listening to music like that, and my father, he came up to me and he was like, "It sounds like a fax machine is assaulting a computer. Like, what's going on here?
What are these robots fighting about?
Wow.
It's the Transformers soundtrack. Audio quality is crap. Follow me.
Oh my god.
So I'm a big hip hop / EDM, like trance, jazzy type of dude. Literally my favorite song or favorite gym song changes week to week.
Yes.
Like right now it's Money in the Grave. Drake just came out with a song the other day, and it's literally in my head like all day today. Listen to it probably.
So who wrote that one for him?
You know,
So I'm just hating on Drake. I'm just hating on Drake. Sorry, Drake, if you're watching.
Probably watching
Definitely
Drake.
watching.
I remember him from Degrassi.
Oh man.
The other thing, you didn't really eat the dish at all.
I'll find out.
See, I don't even know what you guys. I know what Degrassi is. I like came in at the very end and like. I watched iCarly.
So for workout music, kind of similar, changes up all the time. I like the kind of hard-hitting rap. Like if someone's talking about like selling crack and shooting guns, I'm probably listening to it.
Wow.
Yes.
Let's
Have
go.
you seen the memes where it's like, all right, the greatest example is SpongeBob and driving, you know, that smile happy on his face. Like me listening to my hardcore metal about like killing people as I'm going to my day job.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how like I'll literally have something like that playing and stuff. Turn on like, oh hi, how you doing?
Yeah. Really
So,
deep into it. Oh.
We definitely are pushing for time. There's 2 things I want to get to real quick. So first one, we're going to go around and each of us, I just want you to list the most heinous thing you've ever seen in a gym as far as etiquette is concerned.
Alright, so I have actually this. Okay, so I'm just gonna go with this one. Guy finishes his set, and after his set, proceeds. And I'm just gonna go ahead and say this is a habitual thing. Like,
Okay.
every time I see him, constantly reaches both or one hand directly down, not just pants but clearly boxers as well, and is digging around.
Gotta keep his fingers warm.
And you know, I think it's like that tick.
Yeah, just like one of those
badly,
things.
but it's
Yeah,
still
Because I
not
definitely have a
good.
tick,
You need
like
to
the
fix that.
part lip.
I was gonna ask.
Like, I always adjust
I was gonna
my
ask you, do you correct
Social
people, but in that situation,
Okay, it's your expense.
no.
Well,
It's like habitual.
The same guy that has like a throat clearing thing he'll keep doing,
Oh, God.
and it's snot rocket.
What?
Wait, where? On the ground?
I'm gonna say this is not here.
Okay.
At another gym,
I was like-
yeah, it is not 100%.
Wow.
Not you. It's at another gym, and no, but literally,
I don't think anyone can top
Out to
that.
the full, yeah.
Wow.
That is a good one.
I know who can top that. The old, sweaty, naked dudes at the Y in the sauna.
Naked.
I totally didn't just mean to
But
call out
they're
for
in
the Lente
right
drive.
place.
I was gonna say, I feel like that's exactly what they're supposed to be
Yeah.
doing there, though. Like,
I'm just
trying to go. Yeah, I mean,
You know?
but like, dude, you don't have to go in there like fully naked and sit right
Different
next to
time,
me
man.
with like a direct view while I'm like meditating and smelling your
Well,
BO.
in response to that, because you know what's funny? When I was your age, and I would go to gyms where there would be the older population that, you know, would just be fully buff, walking around, putting their foot up on the bench and trying to have a conversation with you, while, you know, the bits are just dangling around. I used to just be like, oh my God. And as I've gotten older, I started to realize, you know what? I wish I could give as few F's as
Dude,
those guys.
it's not necessarily not wearing clothes, don't get me wrong, like that doesn't matter to me, but like, it's more about the fact that you're literally like waving your like tongue in my
Maybe
face.
he's proud.
Like, proud of what? I can't even see it, even if I tried.
Oh my lord.
Jeez. You can tell I'm very like,
Against it. It's
very
fine.
passionate about
It's
this.
cool.
Hey, you know?
You know what? I gotta say, having comfort with your own body though is a power.
Yes.
Very rare.
Yes.
You know?
It's very rare too.
And at a certain
Especially
age,
working in the
you gotta
gym.
stop caring, man. Like,
Yeah.
they're
Fact.
chilling out.
They're chilling.
I'm sorry, dude, when I go to the shower in the gym, like, I stay covered if there's one people around out of respect. I
Right.
doubt
Yes.
they want to
Yeah.
see anything.
Right.
If they do, hey, God bless you, but not that same myself.
I was gonna say, here's another thing to consider for, you know, the generational thing. So when I was in school, we all showered, we all
That's
changed
true.
in the locker room,
That's
and
true.
you were
I
you
did
were in
it.
the buff.
Flash, y'all. Yep.
And you know, as we've gone, I guess, evolved as a society,
Yeah.
you know, we tend. I've definitely noticed within the last 20 years, you see a lot less full-blown nudity in the locker rooms.
It's true.
Yeah,
That
I
is
mean,
true.
even like in high school, middle school, we took showers here in, actually, no, we didn't. No, we didn't even take them in high school. I actually just would take like sink showers. Like, you
Like
would
axe
find,
baths?
no, I hate that. I hate that. But
Passionate.
I would like grab like 30 paper towels and like drench myself. I'd come out like looking like I literally just walked into Niagara Falls.
So I would go ahead and argue that the kid who would 30 paper towel
Yeah.
bath, being worked up about one naked or a few naked people, versus the guys who have taken showers with the rest of the classroom. We don't get too worked up about it. 'Cause it's the norm. It's not. It's a human body.
It's just what you're
Which one's
surrounded by.
worse, by the way? What do you guys think? The old naked dudes walking around loud and proud
Yeah.
and waving it? Or the dude that's just trying not to like, oh no, that I don't know if anything can top that.
No, that's, yeah.
I don't know. I got one.
I don't even think mine's
All
All
relevant.
right, so this, I would argue, is the most heinous thing you can do in a gym. And if you do it, you will piss every single person in that gym off.
Is it not re-rack?
Curling in the squat rack. Now,
last night.
there are some exceptions to
We
this
have
rule.
7 power racks now.
If it's a power
If
rack.
it is a relatively not busy day and there are lots of racks open, go ahead, curl in the squat rack. If you can curl more weight than I can squat, you are absolutely allowed to curl in that squat rack anytime you choose.
Thank you, Dad.
But I digress. That was a little bit of a joke, but that is actually one of my biggest pet peeves. Is if I'm trying to get my squat on,
Oh,
and here's some guy just doing his curls with like the bar, just the bar. It's like, couldn't you maybe not do that in the rack?
We should do
Maybe.
another show on that, because to me, I have no
Genetic
idea what
it?
that means.
Oh, that's
Not
right.
a single clue, and I could be going in there and doing that and not even,
Yeah.
and you guys are all mad and stuff.
So that's a very good point.
Another
That is a
thing
very
that
good point.
pisses everyone off is not re-racking your weights.
Mm.
Or
It's just
put
common,
him in the wrong spots.
or put it,
Oh.
If you got
You know
organized
what, too?
dumbbells, blah, blah, blah.
I have ones at my gym that lock in, and when people don't lock them
Oh,
in,
boy.
and there's not enough like space,
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
yeah, like,
There's
yeah, that's a
gears
little,
to-
yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't really have one though,
OCD
honestly.
stuff.
Really?
Yeah, I don't, I haven't
We've got
really seen.
we've got a viewer that has a etiquette thing that they brought up.
Oh, let's hear it. What we got?
Personal space from the viewer. when I'm bench pressing, please don't stand hovering over me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
How over are we talking?
Like,
Yeah, 'cause
like
there's-
trying
Spotting.
Straddle, like.
Oh, wow.
directly behind me, trying to stare me off the bench.
Okay.
Oh.
Apparently, he was close enough that she needed to ask him to back up.
Okay, you know what? I want to touch on that real quick. I know we're short on time, but as far as gym etiquette goes, one of my biggest pet peeves is, and you generally see male to female, but I have 100% seen the opposite direction. People are in the gym, they're trying to work out, they're trying to get their exercises done. They are not here to be hit on, to be stared at, to be gawked at. Like, you know, if a girl is doing a squat or a good morning, like, that is not where your eyes are supposed to be,
No.
sir. You
No.
should
There's
be-
mirrors everywhere.
Speaking
Right.
of,
You can see
I
them.
was gonna say your pet
Yes.
peeve though, is
What?
when you're speaking to somebody at the gym and they're.
They're staring at themselves in the mirror. I'm like, my eyes are right here.
Yeah. No, but don't think that there isn't a good, like, respectable way
Yes.
to
Yes,
approach
that's a good
someone.
point,
I've
too.
met some of my
Yeah.
best friends at the gym. Or even gotten a number from a cutie, whatever. But, like, you don't stare at her when she's squatting and, like, make it obvious. Like, go up to her, whatever, casual observation, like,
workout
give her a little comment. Yeah.
So with that in mind, one of the things that I've found is if they're wearing headphones and really focused on their workout, that's the perfect time to interrupt their flow
Yeah.
to try and get their
That's so
number.
true.
And no, I'm joking. That is absolutely the worst time. Headphones in, it can wait, man.
Yeah.
It can wait.
Now, what if they have them in the whole time? What do you do?
Well, you're just out of luck because that clearly means she doesn't want anyone to talk to her.
Right, exactly.
I mean,
I beg to differ.
I've been in situations where I'm very friendly with everybody in the gym. So, you know, people naturally wants to talk to me. And if I'm crunched on time to get my workout in, and I've got my buddy, not gonna say his name, talking my ear off, sometimes I'll be like, oh yeah, that's cool. I just like put my headphones back in and just start doing my lift, you know, while they're talking.
No, that is what I
You have to do that,
I
though.
need to do.
You
Yeah.
have to do that. You're right, but I don't know
And it's,
how to do that.
oh, you know, I don't wanna be rude, but
I could.
oftentimes people like, oh, that's right,
Yeah.
we're here to work. So then they'll go off and do their set too.
I think that I may have said it to you before, I'm like, hey, I'm listening, but I'm gonna do a set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or, hey, I'm gonna do a set first, and I'll put my headphones in and do something.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Definitely gym
That's
etiquette.
okay, what you're
Yeah.
doing, you know?
Yeah, the
So
headphones.
I agree, I
Headphone
agree.
thing.
Yeah, the headphones are in, leave them alone.
So I definitely think we can open up the gym etiquette Q&A in another episode, probably like within the next two, just because it's, you know, such a hot, fresh topic, especially for people who are new. But we're approaching the very end. So real quick, this is the last thing that I want to touch on with everybody. Best, or at least one great nugget of wisdom or gym advice you've ever gotten. Does anybody want
I'll
to
go
start?
first.
All right.
A lot of people when they first start out are worried about others' judgment. And through experience and through just growing up and speaking with others, the majority of people are just worried about themselves, honestly. And also, the way people look at you and perceive you to be and assume is just a reflection of themselves, so
Absolutely.
Right. Your
You know,
own worst critic.
exactly, so-
oftentimes.
Yes.
it's human nature to be concerned about what other people think, but also keep that in mind that
I was,
Probably not.
I was having a similar conversation or a similar statement today, and the times that you think that, or the times that you're walking around and you know that like your hair is a little off that day and you're sure that every single person is looking and noticing, guess what? Every one of them is worried about that
Their own
stain on
thing.
their shirt,
Exactly.
that, you know, pimple on their cheek, that
Oh,
yeah.
spot on
Oh,
their
yeah.
eyebrow that they plucked just wrong.
Yeah.
You know, like, they've all got
They
their
all have
worries
their
and their
own
worries
stuff.
hiding behind them. Chill out,
Yeah.
and if you're lost, ask a question. You know, don't worry about the judgment, because if you come up to me or any of us here, you say, hey, listen, I don't know what I'm doing. Is this right? Should I do this? How do I do this? That's my ask. That's my,
Yes,
that's
most
my,
people are
that's my
having
nugget
that.
right there.
Ask.
Ask.
Taking off your
Love it.
with that.
Mm.
Ask for help.
I don't think
You got some.
So what I would say, what I am saying, everything in moderation. Something my father told me ever since I was a wee young boy. still a wee young boy. But essentially, everyone's going to have their own, methodology of things and what is moderating, whatever. But understand that there is excess within everything. Like, if you overtrain, you're going to get injured and hurt yourself. If you overeat, you're going to be uncomfortable and mess up your gut. And like, if you drink too much water, you can die. Like, pretty much anything. And so you have to find your happy medium in the battle of health and fitness. Is finding what works for you, finding that happy medium. Because most of the time, when a newbie asks me a question, I start with 2 words. It depends. 99% of the time, that's the answer.
That's why my whole thing was ask, because I couldn't come up with something that was gonna be.
There's not, yeah.
Yeah.
You got one up? What do you got for your nugget?
I've got a great little nugget. This is one that, it's ironic because I learned this a long time ago, and I say I learned it. I didn't learn this a long time ago. I heard this one a long time ago, and I don't think I learned it. I truly learned it until probably maybe within the last 2 years. Check your ego. When it comes to muscular development of the body, when it comes to nutritional development of the body, we always want the quickest results possible. It is ingrained into us to want fast results, instant gratification. I promise you that if you check your ego, you mind your P's, you mind your Q's, you take fitness, you take exercise as a trial in experimenting with form and function and mastering motion, you will benefit and get results faster from taking that approach than you will trying to see just how much weight you can throw on a bar. One of the things that I've really been harping on with a lot of my clients lately is that you can make 5 pounds feel like 500 pounds once you've fully learned how to control your body. And again, you will always get more benefit out of being able to better recruit your muscle fibers. You will always get more benefit out of being more connected and in tune. And the easiest way to do that, and yes, it is the easiest way, is to move slowly with light weights and to fully explore your ranges of motion.
I have one too.
Love
So,
That's great.
find a personal trainer.
Nice.
Because if you don't know what you're doing, you're probably doing it wrong, especially in terms of form, and I know that.
You know, we say find a good personal trainer.
Find a good.
And we'll do an episode on how to find a good personal trainer.
Yes.
Yes,
No, that's
that would
really
be good.
good. That's huge.
But on that note, guys, this was our very first episode of Fitlosophy, presented by Better University. We're going to be here every week, Wednesdays at 6. You can catch a new episode each time. Generally speaking, we'll try to release what the topic of the show is a few days beforehand. We do live tapings. Studio audience is more than welcomed and encouraged. If you're in the area and you want to come down to All Access Fitness Academy in Shrewsbury, Mass., you're more than welcome to come sit in. Even if you're not a member, please come on down.
We have
Watch the
live
show, ask questions, and then get a nice, awesome tour of the facility afterwards. Or show up early, get a tour in then. I mean, you can see a little bit through the window there, but definitely doesn't do justice to the amazingness that is All Access Fitness Academy. So, we are Better University. We are founded on the principle of education, and education in the form of trying to help everyone succeed. Not just those that have the means to help themselves, but especially those who feel lost and confused. Fitlosophy is the ideology of living a fit and healthy life through fully exploring the physical body, the limits of the mind, and the very essence of your own soul. That doesn't mean that you need to be religious, but you definitely want to be spiritual.
That made me shed
Beautiful.
a tear.
Beautiful stuff. I love
Hey,
it.
that
Glad
was
to be here.
awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
So again, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next week.
See you next time.
Good job, guys.